So, Trolls World Tour really made headlines, didn't it? Universal's latest sequel to the Trolls franchise, the animated kids franchise that are based on those little troll dolls, and they sing, and it's like a musical, I think? Today we're going to talk about what exactly happened with Trolls World Tour and what it might mean for the future of cinema. I want to start this video by saying that I have not seen Trolls or Trolls World Tour. I don't know much about it. Thankfully, the video here today is not about the movies themselves. It is about the controversy surrounding the movie. So right now, the world is kind of going through a bit of a crisis, one might say, which means there are no movies coming to the cinemas. And you know, it's good that people are staying home and, you know, doing their thing to protect the world from spreading this disease. But one of the side effects of this is that movie studios are now experimenting with releasing their big budget event movies, or some smaller movies, you know, they're saving the event things for later, I guess. But they're releasing some of their smaller animated stuff, right? On video on demand, or paid video on demand as it is. Trolls World Tour, the sequel to the first Trolls movie, is an animated kids movie that, quite frankly, I don't know much about. But apparently, people like it. People love it, in fact, because Universal released it on video on demand and said, okay guys, pay us $20 and you can catch Trolls World Tour live in your living room. And apparently a lot of people did. They put the price at $20, which is, you know, depending on who you ask, is quite reasonable, considering that, you know, you can watch it with your entire family and that's all for $20 compared to, you know, going to the movies and paying $10 or more per ticket, and then you have snacks and all sorts of things and what. So they released the movie, people watched it, and just recently Universal made a bold statement saying that, oh, the movie has grossed around 100 billion, wow, Jesus. It beat Avatar and Avengers Endgame and everything. Trolls World Tour, the most popular movie in the world, Jesus Christ. They just put out a statement saying that the movie has grossed over $100 million domestically in America in its first 3 weeks. Now, for reference, the first Trolls movie, which played in cinemas proper, grossed around $116 million in its entire run in North America. So obviously, the Trolls sequel is doing fairly well, right? People are lapping this up. And so when Universal released their statement saying, we are really proud of this movie doing so well, and it really shows that the future of cinema might be, you know, also on video on demand as well as theaters. But let me tell you guys, do you know who didn't like that? The cinemas. So AMC Theaters is a huge theater chain in America, right? It's one of the bigger ones. And they came out with a statement saying, all right, here's the situation. If you're gonna say stuff like that, we're gonna ban all Universal movies. I don't know why they have that voice, but you know, all Universal movies from showing in our theaters. And just for reference, all Universal movies means, you know, Trolls World Tour, yes, but also Jurassic World. It means Fast and Furious franchise, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Blumhouse movies. It basically means that the theaters are denying a huge portion of movies that will come out to play in their theaters. And here's where the point of the video is, because I think this whole situation is a little bit ridiculous. Now, granted, I understand that the cinemas are panicking a little bit because they see a movie doing really well on digital platforms and thinking, oh shit, that was our revenue, god damn it. In the days since that article was published, there has been more cinema chains that have rallied behind AMC saying, yes, we will also ban Universal movies at our theaters, all across America and Europe and Asia, blah, blah, blah. Personally, I think this might be like a bit of a, you know, poke in the bear and seeing if they budge. I don't think it's very wise. In fact, you know, if they then go, oh, we want to watch Universal movies anyway, the Universal could be like, oh, actually, then we want a bigger cut and we want blah, 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 blah. So they are in the power position right now to negotiate if they turn around. So my question is, with all this in mind, is video on demand the future of cinema? Are these cinema chains in the wrong? Are they in the right? What is going on? Well, I personally think that the cinemas, they have a point, of course. I mean, if you release stuff on video on demand, then people are more likely to watch it there and then not go to the cinemas if it's in the cinemas at the same time. However, right now in the world, it's such a weird situation where, you know, we can't go to the movies. And so, of course, Universal would be wanting the money in return that they spent on that movie, right? They would want the return. So obviously they're happy that they got that money, which is great, right? And I wonder if in the future this will be more standard. Maybe, I don't think that they'll release it on video on demand first, right? I don't think we'll get like Black Widow on Disney Plus. That's not gonna happen. I think what could happen is that maybe the windows in distribution for film is that, you know, oh, maybe a movie runs in the cinemas for 6 months and then it's on premium video on demand for a bit, and then it goes to Blu-ray, and then it goes to streaming, and then it goes to television. And the windows are basically how long each of those periods take. So my prediction is basically that the windows of theatrical distribution might shrink. The cinemas won't want that. They will want a movie running in the theaters for 6 months, and maybe that's okay. But what I think is that maybe they still run them in the cinemas for 6 months, but maybe after 1 month at the cinemas, where most of the people who are super keen will have gone and seen it anyway, and the movie's raked in. We're talking the big boy movies, right? The blockbusters, right? That's what I'm talking about. Because some of the indie movies, they can release on both at the same time. That's probably fine. But I'm mainly talking about the huge blockbuster movies that earn so much money for the cinemas. And they need it. I mean, I love cinema. I love going to the cinema. So I would love to see them thrive and, you know, people go there all the time. But the issue is that people just aren't as keen on it anymore, which is a shame because I love it. And I wish more people did too. So basically, I think the idea is that the windows might shrink. So the movies, the big event movies, they'll go on the cinemas for maybe a month, and then it'll go straight to premium on demand, which means that basically you pay 20 bucks, which is pretty expensive for a rental service on video on demand, right? That way the movie studios have a second source of income that comes quite fast after the theater distribution, and the people who want to go see it in the theaters will do that. That's the thing they fail to realize, that even though the option is to watch it at home, I think a lot of people will still prefer to watch it in the cinemas, people like me, simply because A, we want to support cinemas, and B, because I like going to the cinema. It's like an event. It's like going out. It's one of the things I miss the most about this quarantine stuff is like, I can't go to the cinema. I think that this whole thing of windows shrinking has been a thing for a long time. And I think that this whole crisis the world is in right now might actually have affected it so that it sped things up. I think it would have gotten there eventually anyway. I think cinemas are kind of on their way out, or they're on their way to becoming more of a specialty thing. So it's not something everyone does, but it's something that's kind of like, oh, you like cinema, do you? Well, come to the cinema. And I think it's bold of Universal to start doing this. I mean, hey, it's a money decision, right? They went, oh, we're not going to earn any money if we don't release this right now, so let's put it out on video on demand. But personally, I think it's a bit silly for AMC and other theater chains to go, we're not going to play any Universal movies in our theaters ever again because they break theatrical distribution windows. I don't know. I think it's a bit silly. Old technology always is afraid of new technology. And by that, I mean the old cinemas, they're scared that, you know, their business is going to go down. And I understand that. But making an enemy of the people that give you the movies is probably not the smartest idea, in my opinion. So those are basically my 2 cents on this whole Trolls World Tour thing. What do you guys think about this? Do you think that Trolls World Tour and their way of distributing, going straight to premium video on demand, like many other movies have been doing, do you think that's like the future of cinema? Do you think this is where everything will be? Do you think the cinemas are gonna die, or do you think they actually will prevail through all of this? Leave me a cheeky little comment in the comment section down below so we can talk about it more. If you're wondering where I've been lately, I've been streaming live on Twitch, so you can follow me on twitch.tv/filmkoos, where I play video games and I talk about movies and all sorts of stuff. It's basically me and a podcast version of me and games. It's a good time. The people who support me on Patreon recently voted What Remains of Edith Finch as the latest game that we're going to play, so we're going to start playing that on Tuesday. So if you guys want to come join, feel free to join me. Anyway, guys, that's all for me today. Take care out there, stay safe, and I'll see you guys live on Twitch probably. Bye.